If you're traveling to the U.S. or the U.K. from the Middle East or Africa, you may want to consider leaving your big devices at home or putting them in your checked bags. Saturday was the deadline for Middle East airlines to implement new rules regarding certain electronic devices in aircraft cabins. 10 airports across 8 countries are covered in a ban on large electronic devices like laptops and tablet computers. The UK announced similar restrictions, naming entire countries. CNN's Jemana Karacha has some details.
On the first day of this electronics ban being officially implemented here in Turkey at Istanbul's Ataturk Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world, things seem to be running smoothly. We spoke to passengers there. Some expressed some frustration with this, but they did seem, for the most part, to accept this as a new reality of travel these days, while you have others who describe this more of an inconvenience. Take a listen to what some of those passengers told us.
Seems a bit stupid. It's a lot of hassle. We've had to buy lots of extra cases and we're going to have to check loads of extra stuff in to fly back, pay a lot of money.
I don't think I feel more secure, but I think it's, if we have to take safety precautions, we need to do what we need to do.
I don't ever carry my laptop with me, but I was disappointed not to be able to use my iPad. I no longer have to carry a lot of books with me when I travel because of my iPad, and now I'm back to buying books again.
Turkish Airlines, one of the airlines that is impacted by the ban, that is enforcing it right now, is also coming up with innovative ideas to try and make this less stressful for their passengers, try to keep them happy, and also to make sure that they don't lose business because of this electronic ban. Right now, they're also giving passengers the option of, rather than checking in these devices, that they can keep them on them until the last possible minute, and when they are about to board, that is when they can hand them over to airline staff who will put them in bubble wrap and also in hard cases and hand them back to the passengers after they land. For their part, Turkish officials believe that this ban is unjust and unfair. They say that there are enough and sufficient security measures already in place at Ataturk International Airport. So they say they are going to be talking to U.S. officials about reviewing this and reassessing having Turkey on that list. Jemana Karacha, CNN, Istanbul.
Another court battle is looming over U.S. President Trump's travel ban on citizens from 6 Muslim-majority nations. Friday, the Justice Department formally appealed a ruling from a federal judge in Maryland, which prevents the ban from being enforced nationwide. A hearing is now scheduled at the 4th Circuit Court of Appeals on May 8th. In the meantime, uncertainty over the travel ban has Canada's largest school system in Toronto taking measures. Until further notice, all future trips to the U.S. are halted for students and staff. CNN correspondent Paula Newton joins us now from Toronto. Paula, is this a political decision or a practical one?
I mean, the school board's very clear that, look, this is a practical decision. You're talking about, you know, 250,000 students possibly affected. And as you know all too well, Jonathan, this is a big tradition for a lot of school groups that they go to the United States. It's traditions that have been going on for decades. The school board saying, look, we cannot take the risk that a student or staff member will be left behind. And the reason this is happening is anecdotal evidence from the border that at certain times people are held behind, questioned, and then not allowed to enter. And you can imagine, Jonathan, the kind of situation that people believe may happen, where you have, here in Canada, as you know, very diverse population. You may have a child who perhaps was not born in Canada, and they just don't want that feeling that one child was singled out and left behind and would have to then be picked up at the border by their parents. They've decided for this moment in time, until everything is clear, with or without a travel ban in place, they are canceling all trips to the United States.
Well, it seems like a prudent decision under the circumstances, but still an extraordinary one given the context, because Canada and the United States boast about having the world's longest undefended border. It's a soft, open frontier. It's easy to get across. Millions of people do it as a matter of course, school trips among them. Is all of that changing?
Yeah, and you and I know the border is so close. If you're in Windsor and Detroit, I mean, school trips would happen in one day. You'd go over to Detroit on a school trip just for the day. It's not that that's changing, according to both governments, and certainly General Kelly, the Secretary of Homeland Security in the United States, was in Canada just a little while ago, earlier this month, and said, look, I want the border to be, in his words, as thin as possible. He claimed that any anecdotal evidence that was at the border was not because of race or religion or language, but that because there was, unfortunately, a problem. Having said that, it, of course, will affect what goes on with relations between the border, especially until they can get the particulars of the travel ban sorted out. And as you just said, it's not enforced yet, still stuck in the courts, but it is making many people in Canada uneasy when they hear just these stories about people being stranded at the border and not being let into the United States, and not at all clear what they need to be doing in order to be permitted entry.
Paula Newton in Ottawa, thanks very much. And our thanks to you for joining us for CNN Newsroom. African Voices is next. First, I'll be back with a quick look at the headlines.